We are going live to welcome to New Realities. This is our ongoing series about ETs, possibilities, futurism, everything that we are curious about as far as what may be coming to human civilization on the planet, and have a really beautiful cast of people, women who are very interested in the future, very on top of where the evolution of humanity is going. We have Iman Silman from Saudi Arabia. We have Elisabeth Sithouris from Hawaii, Zenka Caro from Sedona, and Nadi Hana Viola Rose from Portland. So it's Nadi, why don't you just talk about introduce the show and where we're going with tonight's theme, okay?
All right, Alan, thank you. It is so wonderful to be with this crew and cast of characters. I know some of you really well, and Iman, it's lovely to meet you. You're in for a treat. You're dropping in like baptism by fire here. We're gonna go all in. And I've been on a few panels with Elisabeth and just feel honored to have your wisdom and presence on the call. And Zenka and I are exo metaverse friends. We met in the exo world, and she and I are in Sedona. I look like I'm in Portland. I'm also in Sedona at the same time. So yeah, Viola and I have known each other for a long time, and that's kind of what launched this off. Is we've been riding the existential waves of being in this reality right now, and like how to be here, and the emotions and the process that go with that. And so we've been having cosmic chit chats is what we call them. And one time it was a particular low for like, we were just feeling the collective low. And Viola came across some information, and then just all the synchronicities came together for us to start exploring the solar flash concept. And there's so much to say about it. It was so compelling that she and I recorded a video about the chit chat, just talking about it. And then,
but what, can I just interrupt you? What is the solar flash concept? What does that mean? Like, what can you be specific about? Some people don't even know what a solar, admission is. But so,
yeah,
yes, thanks.
Yeah, I'm building up to it. It needs a little bit of dramatic buildup. I'm coming. I won't leave that out. I promise. So I approached Zenka with her Exo Metaverse talks, because she hosts these talks once or twice a month, exploring new levels of consciousness and things. And so Viola and I did an interview on Zenka's call talking about the solar flash. And then that just got me so excited and wanting more. So then I came to Alan and I said, hey, what about this? And Alan has a friend who actually channels an entity named Talk, who had firsthand experience with a solar flash. And he are going to be coming on about an hour and a half into the show. So that's like, we're building up to that as well. And that's kind of amazing. That's a really extraordinary situation that's happening.
That's Hope Fitzgerald. She's coming on. And when I was interviewing her about something else, this being came through, and he started to talk about how his planet was from some galaxy somewhere, was witnessing a solar flash that just vibrated everyone who was ready to another frequency, and they sort of turned into these light beings, according to Hope Fitzgerald's channeling. So we'll have a surprise guest from Talk, from whatever dimension he's in now.
Right. So I'll go into a little bit of a solar flash. I want to give everybody a chance to say the same thing about like, what's a solar flash for you? And if you don't know anything, that's great. And you're just along for the ride. And if you do have a curiosity, we'll find out. So Talk maybe coming in later. And then just to bring it all together, whether it's a solar flash or some kind of large event, what my passion is about this is the idea of human ascension, and what is it going to take for us to pull this off. And I think part of my sort of hopelessness, if you will, is that a solar flash or a big event solves the problem that I can't see a way out of right now. And so I get excited about it for that reason. But the really underlying the conversation is humanity's ascension. How are we going to get our evolutionary process going? And so talking about a solar flash is one aspect of that conversation. And what I mean by solar flash is a massive level, coronal mass ejection of a flare of energy from the sun that impacts the entire planet in a way that our generations have never known. Was it 150 years ago? There have been a couple CMEs, a couple solar flash events that did wipe out the telegram electric system that had just been developed about 150 years ago.
Was, I think, the last one.
The Carrington event, right. And they happen about every 150 years. We'll go into a little information about that. Zenka's got some really cool data. And so we'll look at the ascension aspect. We'll look at the fact that there is precedent, there is prophecy. So many indigenous cultures have prophesized this event. This goes back to Vedic scriptures, Hopi prophecy. That's fascinating too. And so we're talking about a massive reset.
And also there's the research by Robert Schoch and Graham Hancock and Gobekli Tepe and these hieroglyphics, these petroglyphs that are on caves about light coming down from the sky. Elisabeth, do you have anything to say about that? Continue, Nadi.
Okay, we'll go around. We're just going to get into a little information, then there'll be some meat to jump in on, I'm sure. So yeah, Alan, perfect. Part of why this sticks for me is because there is continuity across cultures, across history. You know, Drinvalo, maybe we'll segue into you in just a little bit about what he has talked about with the premonitions with prophecies. And that's kind of the general overview. So I think it's time to transition. I think that's part of my, let me add one more thing. When I talk about the ascension, the thing that I find interesting, and I found a new piece of information in Barbara Lamb and Miguel Mendoza's book, Meet the Hybrids, because a lot of the information about a solar flash comes in regression sessions from people who have gone under in QHHT. And there is this really, really consistent report of a solar event. And so across cultures, traditions, religions, regressions into the subconscious psyche, it's enough to pay attention to. And the last piece I'll say is that what I get excited about is that the sun has the photonic capacity in large scale to activate our DNA. And when that happens, we tap into our multidimensionality. And so it's this split, it's another part of the split of a world. This is more bifurcation. This is, how would your system integrate an upgrade like that? And do we need to get ready for something to be able to absorb the upgrades so that we could then have the capacity to navigate a cataclysmic event and help other people? And there's just so many levels to it. So I wanted to really open it up for a conversation. I think it's fascinating. I hope you find it fascinating too. And I've got this quote I'll read from Zenka's got some data I'm sure she'll share, and Viola's going to go into her personal experience, and then maybe Elisabeth and Iman, you'll have something to dive into with questions. So I think that's it. Do you have stuff? What do you jump in for? It's not.
So hi, everybody. I'm Viola Rose, and I'm a facilitator for Drunvalo Melchizedek School of Remembering. And so I kind of bring the wealth of Drunvalo's information from his teachings. And he also, in a lot of his teachings, talks about this planetary, personal and planetary ascension, right? And so he quotes many different cultures and tribal people from around the world who talk about an event, this event that's coming that is going to shift human consciousness. And so that's really interesting, because when you look, even the Christian tradition has their own version of the rapture. And there's traditions all over talking about either an ascension or an event. And even when you talk about Graham Hancock, he often talks about the stair step evolution.
Mhm.
And where do those shifts come from that evolved humanity, like overnight? And when you look at what a solar flare and a solar flash can do, the potential of it, according to Drumbolo, it is the energy coming from the sun, the solar flares, that are then transmuted by the earth, that are the catalysts in our DNA for us to ascend and for us to evolve, right? So it's this dance of transition coming from the sun and the earth that upgrades our DNA and continues to change it. So my thinking is that it's this whole idea of a solar flash that could come, that could potentially shift everything, is not a savior thing. It's not about looking outside of yourself for anything. It's about doing all the work inside to prepare yourself. Are you clean? Are you pure? Are you clear? Are you in line? So that way you can shift with these changes that are coming. So it is by no means an excuse, or like, I don't have to do anything to change this world, even though it seems like it's all going to crap. It's like, no, you have to do the work, and the work is inside. The work is knowing that this is an illusion on the outside that we're playing out. We're in the movie. It's real to some degree. We bought a ticket. We're in the theater, right? But it's still a movie, but we have to do the work. So if we want to ride these waves, because if there's a shift, maybe everybody doesn't go, and it doesn't leave off the importance of the self-work and the cleaning and the clearing and the aligning and clearing the baggage, so that you're vibrating as high as you can, so that you're ready for whatever the universe or the sun or the earth brings your way. So I just like that part of sovereignty and self-responsibility, along with the idea of a solar flash that could happen and bring in these changes. That does seem like you said, maybe one of the only ways out of this mess is that everyone needs to, snap and evolve and up level. And it's entirely possible, because if all the indigenous cultures are talking about it, and in these regressions from Dolores Cannon and from everyone else who are doing these deep regressions and getting deep into people's psyche, and they have no idea about any of this, and then you regress them into deep hypnosis and they start talking about it, that they're here for an event, they're here for a shift, they're here to help that's pretty darn exciting.
I think that's the thing. It's exciting. You really can find the excitement. Those are awesome. That is such a core part of it, is the inner work piece, and that whatever is coming is likely going to just amplify you wherever you're at. Right. So this motivation to do as much as you can for vibrational, energetic, keeping as high as we can, and then we'll get a boost, and then what was the last thing you just said? The subconscious. The other piece that kind of got us really jazzed on this was that a friend of mine sent me a video from Allison Coe, and I'll put it in the chat. Does it work on Alan's thing? Oh, whatever, I'll figure it out. To video, Allison Coe, COE, and it's about disclosure and the ships and a solar flash. It's not explicitly in the title, so the title is disclosure and ships and something like that. And she is reading a transcript of a session that she took somebody into, and she decided she was so compelled to make this video where she's reading the transcript, because she just had person after person spontaneously and independently coming up with these reports and these stories. And so the one that we happened to come upon synchronistically was this gentleman who was talking about his position having come in from the ships, knowing that he was here, and that so many of us right now are here to be of service in this transition, that there really is an event happening, that it has to do with the ships, it has to do with the ETs and the advanced civilizations. They're all here. If we could see them, we couldn't see the sun. There are so many ships here for us and our assistants right now. So, okay, I'm getting really excited. I'm gonna calm down. So I'm gonna hand it over to Zenka. Do you wanna, I'll sit and breathe. Do you wanna jump in with your thoughts or things you found?
Yeah, sure. I can show you a bit about the science, and it's always so important to kind of step back and look at the patterns and look at what we're seeing. One of the things that's really,
It's not.
Yeah.
So there's a bar.
No,
It's on our ends. Okay, there's just a bar in front of you. I wanted to make sure it wasn't on your end. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. Thanks.
Oh, no problem. So Yeah, so one of the interesting things so about the solar flare is that there are solar weather that affects our nervous system each and every day. And a lot of people are talking about the Schumann resonance. So maybe we can unpack that a little bit. I'm going to go, oh, if you guys can allow me to share my screen, I'll dive into it here.
Oh, good. Alan's coming on. He's going to do that for you because he's the host, and I don't know that we can do that. So he's going to pop on and make
Okay.
sure.
I think
Yeah.
he made us a co-host.
Oh, did he? Okay, so then, all right. So we'll figure out here. We'll let you screen share.
How do we do that?
I forgot. Oh, it's in a Zenka. Will you walk us through it
Just
again?
make me, yeah, just make me co-host too, if you can.
Okay.
You could just go to participants and then.
Ta-da. Great. Okay,
Is that-
it should be good.
Okay, great. Okay, so we are right now in solar cycle 25. We're at what they call a Dalton minimum, which is only happened once before, where the solar cycles are low in 2 years in a row. So I think it was 1870 when it was last like this. So it's very rare. And what it means is it's giving us a break on our nervous system, believe it or not. But these solar cycles happen so every 9 to 11 years, and we can chart them on maps, right? So right now we just left in 2020 a very low the minimum, right? The solar minimum. And now as we go to 2025, 2024, it's predicted to get to the peak. So what is this solar cycle? So if you see on the screen, here's the sun, and it bubbles and bubbles, and it sometimes it bursts out, and you can see these, they call it the Wolf index, where they look for these black spots that then erupt, right? And they spray a lot of energy and electromagnetic waves toward the Earth, which the Earth tries to protect itself using the ionosphere, but it does affect us. And what happens is there is kind of a bubble. So you have the Earth in the middle, then you have an ionosphere. Think of it like literally a bubble that's going to protect. So that the sun is slamming into the ionosphere. It's causing lightning. It's causing the aurora borealis. It's causing all that energy to try to dissipate on the Earth. One of the really significant things that I've been so fascinated by is a Russian scientist started studying war and different things, and he realized that 80% of the most significant human events occur during these peak times. So in 2024, 2025, that's when things really start to happen. That's when we have wars. That's when we do inventions. So it could be bad, it could be good. Now, this is what made him conclude this. So he took 72 countries and he studied them from 1750 all the way to 1920, and he plotted, so the red lines are the number of sunspots, right? That's that wave we talked about. And on the blue, it's the number of historical events like wars and inventions and things like that. And you can see that it's exactly lined up, right? There's an eerie correlation. So this led a lot of other people to think about it. And it's the same thing, you know, the full moon, it's like we start to, you know, have to fill the emergency rooms and everything like that. Marcia, who's a scientist friend of mine, said it's actually not the full moon, it's the sun, which also follows the cycle similar to the moon. But just to give you that idea, is that this is actually really important. So here's some events that happened 9/11 on the peak and different things like that. The stock market also. So there's all these things that have a direct correlation. So some people also believe, like the Global Consciousness Project, believes that our consciousness is actually affecting also the Schumann resonance and the solar flares and things like that, right? Which is a totally crazy concept to think about that. So it's affecting us and we're affecting it. So when we have spikes in the Schumann resonance, now the Schumann resonance, a lot of you've seen this on Twitter and Facebook, and people saying, "Oh, I feel really bad. The Schumann resonance is spiking." When you see it go white, you might feel stressed. You might feel not so great, because the way that this works is that when the Earth is in a period of normal, right? This blue and green. What happens is let me just find this other page that talks a little bit about the Schumann resonance. And the Schumann resonance at its resting point is 7.8. So if there's no solar storms, it's at 7.83. And that's matches our brainwave. Our brainwaves go at, that's between theta and alpha. So that's between meditation and alert creativity. That's why they say go out into nature if you want to heal yourself, because literally it will get you into this alpha theta brain state, which is going to give you that boost. So it's associated with creativity, delta and alpha. Yeah, like I said, alpha's creativity and theta's in a relaxed state. So I've been, a lot of people are asking, is the Schumann resonance because of the consciousness raising or because of the solar flares or because of, we don't know why is it spiking? Because the thing is that Schumann resonance never, ever went above 7.3. It's in a harmonic, but in 2017, it went off the charts. It went to almost 35. So all of a sudden, scientists are scratching their head going, this has never happened before. So you can see this is August. There was a lot of spikes, right? This is from disclosurenews.it, and you can go and wherever you search for, Schumann resonance, it'll tell you what it is today. So here we have April. It was very calm, right? HeartMath is also doing a study about this, and you can see on their site, here it is. This, I set the chart to show us from 2020 to today, right? So this is being measured all around the world, and you can kind of see that this is not normal. Like on the left, it's kind of lower, and on the right, it's kind of higher, if you see that. So I think that that's all I kind of wanted to share in terms of the technicalities of how this works and how we are inextricably connected to the forces of our electromagnetic fields in our environment. And well, I'll chime in later on what my thoughts of an actual event or things like that.
That is spectacular data. You have turned me into a data believer. That really anchors it, and gives it this context of how it has affected our planet and impacted our consciousness already. God, that's brilliant. Thank you. Do you want to add just like a personal piece about your
Yeah. Okay. So I believe that we, the COVID and all this stuff is designed for us to have an awakening, right? And so are these spikes. So it's like scrambling our entire system. It's making us fall apart, literally, so that we can fall together again, so that we can realign ourselves. So as painful as this process is and has been and will continue to be for a little bit longer, it's important that the systems that are in place that are no longer serving us, both emotionally in our lives, with our relationships and our families and our work, and the greater society is kind of broken up. And I think that a solar flash, a big massive event like you're talking about, could be possible if we can't shift hard enough and fast enough. I feel like there's something big is going to be happening. I mean, we just started the age of Aquarius in March of 2021. Okay, so just a couple months ago, we're stepping into a new age. We're going through it lasts 200 years on either side, but still, it's like we're doing this clearing out. I don't think anybody wants to see us go through a massive upset, thing. I think that we want to land the plane carefully and together. But if we can't get it together, a solar flash can cause outages. It can wreck our banking system. It can cause us to shrink into local communities. But whatever is happening, I feel confident that it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be what it's supposed to be in order to move us into the Aquarian age, to move us out of materialism, to move us into our extended human capabilities, to bring us, we're going to be entering the age of enlightenment, right? We're going to see the world in a new way. And it's we'll see what we can do and what it's going to take. And hopefully we can just do it before something big has to correct us.
I love your optimism so much. I just want it to rub off sometimes. Awesome. Let's do this. Let's check in with Alan, see what's he thinking, and then we'll ask Iman and Elisabeth to weigh in on this. Alan, are you able to say hi?
Yeah. Well, keep coming back to me in 2 minutes, okay?
Okay, 2 minutes.
Why don't you talk to Elisabeth?
Okay, we'll do that. Elisabeth, so what do you think of all this? You've been an evolutionary biologist. You've seen things. You know things. What do you think?
Well, I've been fascinated listening to you all. I've long been a student of consciousness as the primary reality. And right now I'm actually every day listening to the latest talks at the Seth conference that's going on right now. And for those of you who don't know, Seth is a discarnate entity who spoke through a woman named Jane Roberts for many years and for many books. And it keeps pointing out that, well, Seth talks about framework 1, which is our physical reality, and framework 2, which is the consciousness level that creates that reality. And that when we look at the events of our world, we can produce all this data on solar flares, on what's happening, Schumann resonance. We can measure these things, and we can try to interpret them in a logical, rational way. Or we can look to the consciousness level and say, what are we humans doing, the pool of human consciousness, to create these physical realities all the time? And so I've tried in recent years to look at everything from the COVID crisis to global warming, whatever, from these 2 different perspectives. And so I love what you're saying is that this is a time of transition. I mean, my evolution biology says we're in metamorphosis. We're moving from the predatory caterpillar world to the butterfly light on the earth world. And you cannot change rigid structures. So things have to fall apart for them to be recreated in the physical world. So everything you're saying resonates with me from this kind of perspective of understanding. Yeah, we're bringing this on ourselves. And then to say, what if humanity is responsible for global warming in a very different way than what we're told? That is it just the fossil fuels? Is it just the buildup of this chemical or that chemical? Or is it our own perception of ourselves as flawed beings, this whole Darwinian thing, and the meaningless, purposeless universe, and humans as flawed beings, and religion all telling them you've got to be redeemed. You dare not trust yourself. You're, this beautiful creation that you are. And so there are so many components in this pot and so many ways of seeing it. And I like to think that, as Seth would say, each of us is the center of our universe. And together we co-create it. And so humans are storytellers. We live by our stories. We don't know how to do anything without having a story that it makes sense in. And we call those stories worldviews. Every culture has them. Science has them. Religion has them. And we have to figure this whole thing out from our little individual consciousness. How do we co-create together? And my biggest questions right now are, it's so easy to focus on the terrible things happening. And instead of focusing our thoughts and energy on what we really want to come out of this, And when we get it, that, whoa, what a beautiful planet this is. And how many ETs does it take to tell us what a beautiful planet we have here and that we shouldn't trash it? and to really focus, to operate more from framework 2, where mind changes, heart changes can have effects in the real world, that it's easier, Seth would say, to work from that level than to dig around in the physical world to get the changes made.
Right.
The physical world will follow. If we love nature, if we know we don't want to exploit it anymore, if we know that all beings are sentient, that our planet is sentient, that the ETs are here, and we think in those positive terms, that will help it fall into place in the physical world, as much as building the windmills and the solar panels and those things that are all part of it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so beautiful. And I really love what you're saying, in that if any kind of event, any kind of, well, you could broaden it out, anything has multiple levels that we could be working on, you know, and so that's part of this conversation. And Viola had mentioned that earlier. It's like, as much as we can get ready, right? It just comes back to that personal awareness and personal consciousness, but also the collective, which I think is part of why I wanted to do this call, right? It's like, let's have these conversations and remind ourselves that we need to be getting ready for what's coming, whatever it is, you know? So, Alan, I just want to wait 1 second for you, because I've seen Iman's head nodding so many times, and I don't want to put pressure on you. I know Alan just dropped you in, but would you like to say anything?
No, I can talk. Yes. Thanks for moderating this, because I'm in motion right now. But it's important, I think, what Elisabeth said, and taking in what Zenka said.
Wait a minute, Alan. Alan, wait a minute.
minute.
Aman was just invited to say something. So hold on a minute.
No, continue. Go ahead.
Iman, we've heard you.
Sorry, I didn't hear that part. Please, sorry, didn't mean to. I didn't hear that.
It's okay. You're on a car. It's okay. Iman, go ahead. Yeah, yes, please.
You noticed that I was nodding so much. It's because I agree with everything you're saying. It all comes down to working on ourselves to be ready for whatever shift is coming. We don't really know what the future is holding for us, but as long as we are ready, we can go through anything. And I believe so much that we, as a collective conscious, we created Corona, this reality for ourselves. But I do have a question. Do you think that we have created these solar flares as well? Or it is something that is gonna happen anyway, or just a timing thing? Because I've heard, I think Greg Braden was talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
But I never thought that we also have created this, this event.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. We can throw that out to everyone, but my response is all of the above. You know, it really is all three. That's not one or the other. And we're sort of shifting from this linear progression and this material like reductionist to like, oh, it's this one piece. And we're broadening out to this multi-dimensional, multi-awareness of how everything is interconnectedness, you know, our consciousness with the sun. You know, I was watching something recently with a woman, Geraldine Orozco, who is talking about how the DNA, I'm probably not going to get this right, please do look into her, but how the DNA, our DNA is actually messaged from the sun in this holographic fractal reality where we are, our intelligence and our consciousness is so connected to not only our sun, but then the galactic center, you know, and just this incredible web of interconnectedness. So I love the question. I think it's spot on. And I think it's really the next task for us to leap into that understanding that it is all right. And that we affect. Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe that. And I think the sun here is acting like the wise teacher that is waiting for us to be ready for the next answer. And then when we're ready, we have to still work on ourselves to get this in our conscious, like get this integrated in our soul. So yeah, I think it's all communicating together, it's all connecting together.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Alan, are you at a spot? Do you have coverage? You can jump in. I don't want to bank on it because you're driving.
Yes,
Okay.
I can. Yes, okay. Thank you, Iman. Sorry. Well, you know what?
Alan, I don't think we can pull it off. It's not coming through. Yeah, why don't you just wait till you're a couple miles down the road and we'll try again. Yeah, just mute him. So, all right, we'll get him down the road or
We
something.
can't hear you at all, Alan. Your voice is completely broken up. If you can hear us, we can't hear you. So maybe we need to wait a little bit more till your signal sorts itself out.
Yeah.
Let me just say something to Iman. I've done several symposia of different sciences in the world. And to find out what the basic belief story underlying each science is, from the Western science materialist universe. Alan, we can't understand a word you're saying.
Okay, Zenka, we turned you into a co-host. Can you mute Alan?
I'm trying. It's not
I know
working.
we're all trying.
He actually just got bumped
Oh, he
off.
popped off. Okay, so Elizabeth, go for it. Yeah, what were you saying?
I just wanted to say that then the quantum scientists within Western science, they all look to Vedic science from India to explain the results they got. So I had these different symposia. We got to the basic belief system of the classic Western science, of the Vedic science, and then I did one in Kuala Lumpur for Islamic science. And you might be interested to know that it turned out, to my surprise, and maybe to everyone's surprise, that Islamic science is the science of a living universe. So we had a material universe, a conscious universe, and then a living universe, because the first belief is Allah created the universe. The second belief is Allah created a living universe and told us to study it. So I was saying to them, in your Islamic universities where Western science is taught, you should also teach Islamic science side by side so that they can correct each other, so that the science of a living universe, which would see quickly why it was a bad idea to create toxic technology, could say, oh no, not to this living world. You can't do that. Everything must be recyclable. So anyway, I thought you would like to know that. And I've been working recently in the Arab Emirates with their Dubai 2040 project. And I'm very interested in your country's hydrogen production project, because I'm also in love with hydrogen dirigibles of the future.
Awesome. Hydrogen, the sun. Yeah. All right. We'll get Alan in a little bit and then we'll go around again with a new piece of information. I would really like to bring some more.
Can you hear me better now, Nadi?
Yes, that you're much clearer. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, great. No, I just wanted to comment on the whole idea that our thoughts create the weather, the conditions, the moment in evolution. And I think what Elisabeth said about Seth is that, and what Seth says himself is that our thoughts are, I would say, evolutionary, but we have to get out of our old patterns. And maybe these solar flares are moments of awakening, planetary awakening, where we can move into that next phase. And it doesn't have to be destructive, although in some cases it has been totally fried electrical system. So just imagine what happens to our whole computer internet networks when this light comes off the sun and fries it. Maybe though that would be the push that gets us into a more of a telepathic society. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
So all this has been training for us to really activate another part of our minds, all this internet connections. I mean, it's a long shot. Also want to say there's been, in the past, according to Robert Schoch, it seems like there's been warnings for this. Like they would draw the petroglyphs of these lights coming down from the sky, and then it seems like people were aware of this and would move underground or in caves, or maybe that's what Göbekli Tepe was, where the whole city was buried and they wanted to preserve what they had there. So it's interesting that we're talking about this at this time, because it might be one way out. I think that's what your thing was saying, what you were saying, Nadi, out of the mess we're in now. So, but I don't think it has to be that way. I think we can move in a little more smoothly. Go ahead.
Oh, well, that would be a hope, right? I don't know. It might be good to have a bang. All right, Alan, thank you. Am I cutting you off? I'm excited to do the next thing.
No, that's good. That's good. That's fine. Thanks.
Okay.
Good job, Nadi.
Oh, fabulous, Alan. I've studied in your footsteps. So a couple of things that you inspired there is there's two aspects. You know, we're really kind of in a bifurcation of sorts where things are dividing. Either you're taking a path of fear, or you're taking a path of love, or you're deciding and going back and forth. But that seems to be kind of a fundamental energetic right now. And, you know, in shift in consciousness, I should say, large scale, both, you know, micro and the macro. And so there are both aspects to be found in a singular event in a solar flash, where on the one hand, you could look at the fact that we are with government programs destroying our ionosphere. As Zenka was pointing out, the ionosphere is our protective layer in terms of that interface. So there's actual, literal, you know, empirical data that of how our consciousness, of how our abuse and in unconsciousness, it would play out that way, right? That's one physical reality. And that's just one. I mean, there's so many of what we've done to our planet and our atmosphere, and the way we've weakened our strengths and our planet's resilience. That is documented. We know these things. And that's kind of, I view that as part of the darker elements, like what is an agenda that could really wipe humanity out. That's a big deal. This is a cataclysmic event. We would be talking about a lot of people leaving. And so there's that aspect of it that feels really destructive and is also in the mix. And then there's the aspect that I really get excited about, which is when you talk about star seeds coming onto the planet, and you talk about these beings with activated DNA that are in large measure sometimes hybridized beings, right? A blend genetically of ET races and human races, and that they come in with these remarkable capacities, much more in their multidimensionality, much more able to have soul recall. They understand why they're here. They know which races they're connected to. They have absolute connection and communication with them. Their psychic powers are activated. They're telepathic naturally with their origins and their civilizations of origins. They're telepathic with others. They have extreme sensitivity and their emotional empathy. They're extraordinary beings, and we all have that capacity. It's just that those of us who have been here longer, we're a little cut off from it. I know I'm saying things that we all know, but my point is that with the solar flares, with that photonic activation, that's part of what our DNA needs to access those other talents, to access those other capacities. And that's really why I get excited about it. And I kind of can't explain my passion for it. I think I'm just desperate for something to activate my higher capacities. I so long for that. And, you know, part of me does put a lot of emphasis on this, obviously. So let me see if there's, I want to share this.
I was also wondering, what does Drumbolo say about all this too?
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit before. I think you were off the call at that point. But he says that, yes, I mean, his whole body of work is to prepare people for personal and planetary ascension, that it is coming and we are in the end of time window, and that it is time. That is why he is here, is to help people activate their light body to prepare to ascend with the earth as she gets ready to go to the next vibrational level of existing. And that dance of transition is a dance between the sun and the earth, that it is the sun that is the catalyst for the earth that shifts the planet and all the living beings on her body, because we're all part of Mother Earth, to get ready to go to the next level, and that it's coming. It's like, you know, what is time? We don't know if it's imminent now means 2 years or if it means, 50 years, because time is so bizarre, but that we're at that precipice. And that's why I think that so many of us are here from elsewhere at this time, so many volunteers at this time for this time specifically, because it's upon us. And the more beings who are here to help raise the vibration, then better chance we have. And Drumbolo says we've already done it, that we have made it, and that we will make it because it's already been done, and that now we're just here playing it out.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna launch off that, Ellen. I'm gonna claim this here. So off of that piece of this is why we came, so often we hear that what is it, now is we are the ones we've been waiting for, or this is the time, now is the time. So I'm going to read a little clip from this book, which is Barbara Lamb and Miguel Mendoza, about Meet the Hybrids and their tremendous work over decades to interview people who really know that they're of the ET Human Hybrid program. And so I'm going to read a paragraph from an ET hybrid who knows that they're here for this flash, and they have that information. So, okay. So the ETs have shown me that there's a major transition event coming, but what is it? This is hard. As we're orbiting the sun is orbiting the galaxy, and our position in the galaxy and in the universe is constantly changing. Our solar system, no, that's worse. I was gonna try to use some light. No, don't move. Our solar system is moving into a more energetic section of our galaxy. At the same time, we get hit with this energetic wave. The wave has a frequency to it, which supposedly makes everything spontaneously evolve. It triggers DNA, but at the galactic level. Other planets in solar systems closer to the galactic center have already gone through the transition. So a lot of them are now helping us to get our vibration high enough on the planet Earth so that when the superwave hits, we avoid having a bumpy ride. We get a smoother transition because this is a ship, and if we fail, we could all sink. So I believe the hybrids' main tasks are to help raise the vibration and to bridge the gap to ET. Then the ET helps train us for this event, so we get a smooth transition. I have no idea what's on the other side, but I feel it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a cool light show, which will awaken everyone's minds. And I think it's going to be a really positive. And I didn't include it in there, but he says somewhere that he knows that this is why he came, is for this event. So I find that fascinating. That was not a regressed state. That is fully conscious reporting. And there are so many states of people in regression that are saying similar things. So
which person is that, Nadi, in the book?
In the book.
Yeah. Who is it that?
Yeah, that is Robert Frost Fullington.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's amazing stuff. I highly recommend Barbara and Miguel's work. So in that, let's throw that one around. What do people think about that that piece of information and the DNA and the interface? Yeah, Alan?
No, I just want to say, yes, something is being activated, but what did Zenka say? I might have missed that. When we expect this next big wave to come, because we are being prepared for something, it seems like. And so what was her calculations? Or Zenka, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So the next, when we're at the peak, we're going to be at 2024 or 2025. And I believe that a channeler told me recently that a date for us to look out for is 2027. Yeah, so I mean, we are really close to something happening. I do feel that I have also been told it's very important that we do things to keep our vibration high, so everyone knows what, we do to tank it. You know what I mean? It's like eating bad food, being off balance, being in fear, not clearing your chakras, not taking walks outside, like all these different things. And so in a sense, everybody's responsible for their own energy field. And it's important to do that because it can help other people around you that are not having such a great day. So I don't know exactly how I feel about this. You know, I had read books that were written in Sedona that in 1972 that talked about this photonic belt that we're going to be passing through. And so, and we do know that photonics is how our bodies actually work. We're starting to realize that in science, right? And we're realizing scientifically that certain things can actually change the epigenetics of our bodies, right? And this is where we're going to start to access different abilities and things like that. So a part of me, kind of, to tell you the truth, has like PTSD from the election and things like that. And like everyone's like, oh my God, get your food ready. And like, then nothing happened. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, so there's part of us wants there to be drama in our life. But then again, it's also this collective feeling that we're having, that we know that we're saying goodbye to something and something new is going to happen. So whether that's, you know, the Carrington event, which was when we also had a solar flare, was back, let's see, in 1857. And we did have another solar storm in 2012. So Alan is right. Like, if something were to happen like this, it would really shift. I mean, it would take out our computer systems and things like that. You know, when I'm working in real, you know, like all day on the computer, I'm like, I just wish it would happen, because I'm like, I need a break. You know? I want to go grow some food somewhere, you know, like have that human connection. So we'll see. I mean, I really don't want that to happen, because I feel like we do need to stay connected in the way that we are right now. But maybe it'll be something with our human technology that's going to kick in, and we'll be connected in that way. So again, whatever is going on, this is the time that you are being asked to come alive, to bring the best of you, to bring something to this potluck that we're in right now. And everyone kind of has a piece, right? They know how to heal people with sound, or they know how to calm down their mom, or they know how to make a beautiful meal that's organic or vegan, or whatever you're doing in the world. Now's the time to do it for each other, because whatever's going on, we can know right now that with what's going on already in the world, this has been a huge shift. It's been a very dramatic shift in the last year and a half. And I have a feeling we're not done with it yet. So now
We're just the beginning.
Yeah. So, I mean, as Viola always talks about, it's like, know your center, know what calms you down, you know, because when the Schumann is high, your nervous system is going to be scattered, and you're not going to be your best self. So what are your tools? Like, what are your tools that you're using? You know what I mean? To recenter yourself and find your true north. And also, you know, I also just, the final thing I want to say is, like, turn off your TV, please. Like, that is like really, I think, hurting our abilities to prepare for what we want to happen in the world, because we're caught up in this crazy soap opera that's draining and fretful and scary and whatever. So, you know, turn off the TV, look at each other, build what we want. Like, let's put the systems that we really want in for the future up now together.
Systems architect. Zenka, you're so awesome. Do you want to cap on that, or?
I'll chime in. My thoughts on what you just shared was reminding me about the duality, and how, yeah, it is time to know all your tools, because the duality is getting stronger, as we're seeing with this bifurcation, with everything that's going on in the world. And that is part of it, right? The duality continues to get stronger and stronger on both sides until there's something that brings them together. And so the stronger the heavier energy gets, or the denser energy, or the materialistic energy, or the agendas going on in the world, then the stronger the light is also getting. And so it is time to know what your tools are and to use them, because the access to the light and the light codes and the higher frequencies is so tangible right now. And yet the distraction to look away from that is so in our faces all the time. Like Zenka was saying, just turn off the news and it's right there as soon as you stop and you go out into nature, or you close your eyes, or just visualize yourself unplugging from the matrix. And it's like, it's all just right here. And so as every time that you see something dark or heavy in the world, aha, that's your cue that just as much light or high vibration is there to tap into. So you can use it all as a cue to level you up, rather than a marker to keep you in as a victim or bogged down by it, because there's 3 different paths you can take: one side of the coin, the other side of the coin, or the side of the coin that doesn't take a side and is sort of above it, looking at an umbrella and knowing that this is an illusion, right? This is an illusion, and to never let the illusion have any power over you, period.
Big work. That's big
Yeah.
work.
Beautifully said.
Work. It's huge work.
Yeah.
It's like, and every time that we up level to it, like, now I see this happening. And then we raise our vibration above it. And now I see this. And it's training us. It's taking us up this ladder. It's leading us on the ascension. If you're tuned in and you're doing the inner work, all this stuff that's happening will actually just usher you right in, I think, to it, because it forces us to keep upping our game and becoming who we actually really are.
Yeah. And I think that the reason I wanted to do this call, Zenka, I know you popped in, I just have to pop in, is because we need each other. We need each other to remind ourselves to turn off the television and turn off the alternative television as well. I got hooked into that end of things too. But like, that's why these calls are so important. These roundtables or other seminars that are happening is, we know, and there's so many out there watching this, we know that's what we have to be doing. And this is just a reminder to counter all of the other messages. Zenka, were you going to jump in there, or was Elisabeth? Or
were you talking to me, Nadi?
Go for it. You're on. You got it.
No, I just want to say what comes up for me is that these solar events are connected to consciousness. We've separated ourselves so much from nature and from the light that surrounds us that probably the ancients knew what was coming, because they didn't have television or computers, or all they had was this wider view of their connection to all that there is. And so I think what this whole topic is bringing out is, how do we start to be in touch with the cosmos, the greater cosmos? And my whole theory about the whole 2012 thing, the end of the Mayan calendar, was that it orientated us to the galactic, out of the solar and towards a galactic awareness. And that includes the solar. So our whole local environment, our whole ecology of the mind has increased. And I think, whether this solar flare comes now or in 100 years or 1,000, we need to start to connect to the greater light that is accessible through our minds and our non-local awareness. So that's just my piece for that.
Love it. Love it. Zenka, did I cut you off a minute ago? No. Okay.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Okay. Okay. Elisabeth, are you jumping in? Okay. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the right words for, yes, we have to keep stepping ourselves up higher and higher over the dark energies that are dividing us. The old divide and conquer model, of course, lets them get away with things, right? Because they have us fighting with each other and stuff. But I want to, Alan, you're so right that we have cut ourselves off from nature. We humans we see ourselves as separate from nature. And here we are with this beautiful planet with its Schumann resonance reflected in our own brains. And by the way, I taught myself to go out of body at some point by using that frequency, which is a basic resonance in our brains and in our blood column and in the whole earth. And you can get through some veils by focusing with it. But the earth is here for a purpose. And if we shut off that television set and go out into nature instead and recognize the exquisite beauties of nature, of the material world, then I say, we focus a lot about wanting to move up into the light, but what we really need is to bring the light to ground it in this physical reality, to play this entire keyboard. It's why I have trouble sometimes with the wording of ascension, because to me, ascension means keep your toes in the mud as you go all the way up to the highest light so that you can play the entire keyboard. That's why the ETs warn us, don't trash your planet. You're on it for a reason. The universe creates matter. Consciousness creates matter for a reason. We don't want to escape matter. We want to make sure that that matter becomes part of the whole highest consciousness of the universe. Right? Does that make sense? And so I'm a biologist. By the way, all the talk about DNA is because you've fallen into the beliefs that the scientists have told you DNA is like the central computer in your brain. And, Bruce Lipton and others have long told us about epigenetics. That's the most important part of it, because DNA is nothing more than a crystalline storage center, as a storage system for information. It can't do anything by itself, and nor can light make it do something. It takes intelligent reading of the information to do something with DNA. And to me, the proteins that make up most of your body are the smart molecules that climb around in your DNA and pull out the books they want to read. And then they read it and they copy them, and they use the information in them to build stuff in all of nature. So proteins have gotten very short shrift, and I think we need to focus more on them, because the real intelligence of your body that can do anything is in the proteins. The DNA is where we've stored, it's the books we've stored. It's like books on a library shelf. They don't do anything by themselves. They have to be read, and the information has to be used. So I'm always a little bit leery when I hear stuff about DNA being so very important. We can change the books. We can rewrite books, right? That's epigenetics. That's what Bruce has taught us, is that we can rewrite the books through our consciousness. So we're not enslaved by it at all. So anyway, I want to figure out more and more ways to keep our physicality as sacred, as one with all of nature, as in communion with it all. And hey, if the internet goes down, the communion system does not go down. And I have a friend who keeps reminding me the internet is growing as fast as the internet. So, it may take wiping out the internet to stop the evil people who want to turn us all into transhumanist robots, right? And live in our cell phones and get our social merits and demerits and get our pay or not pay, depending on whether we're behaving according to the way the authorities want us to behave. So the communion system can't be interfered with that way, because there's no lying in it. It's direct information transmission. It can't be manipulated. So fortunately, we have that. And that part of our work, I think, is to build that communion system so that should the internet go down, which means your money system doesn't work anymore, have we got good relations with our veggies by growing them? Can we still eat? Are we taking care of each other? Can we care and share even if that internet went down? We'd still be around.
Wait, Elisabeth, I also want to, that was great. And you're absolutely right. But the whole idea of addressing ascension, not because people would talk about it in the 80s and 90s as a way of escaping. And there's nothing to, we have to be grounded in the 3D, in the body, in order to take the body with you into the ascended states. But we have to be embodied. It's someone used to call it, maybe it's like divine suicide. Everyone wants to ascend, but no one wants to live,
Right.
So it's time to be embodied with the light in the body. And then we could play the whole keyboard. I love that term, the whole keyboard, because that's why we're here. That's why we've incarnated, isn't it?
And it's only in physical bodies that you can play the whole keyboard. You see, the angels can't play the whole keyboard. It's why they're lined up for human bodies, right?
Right. Right. I love the keyboard. I love that too. And I mean, there's so many souls that want to be incarnate. I mean, it's a privilege, but Elisabeth, you encapsulated this huge broad spectrum from, DNA to our communal living and the internet and all of this. And I love it so much. And we should have a conversation about DNA. I think we're on the same page, but it's a real passion of mine right now. But what I have really loved is, Iman, I have to say, with your rapt attention, like with everything Elisabeth was saying, I could just see you looking up and thinking and a nodding of the head. Do you want to join in on any of this? It's so wonderful.
I agree. First of all, I want to say something. It's like maybe out of the subject or something.
No, you go for it.
Every time Viola speaks or I look at her, my third eye gets tingling.
That happens.
I don't know what is this. So anyway, what is this?
I'm so glad you spoke to that. That happens. Yes.
So anyway,
we're all just here to help each other wake up, and so
great. I think Zenka wrote what did Greg Braden say about? I think he was speaking, as I remember, I watched the video a few months ago. I think he was speaking about the shaman residence, and he was connecting it to the big events that happens in the world. That's what I remember about it. What else? I actually feel like we are going through a collective, what is like a dark night of the soul for the collective soul. Mm-hmm. So it's exactly what an individual does with himself. Needs to clear up the negative energy, needs to clear up the traumas, and find his true story. As Elisabeth said, everyone has a story, but a lot of these stories are false stories. They're not connected to the truth. And when we find the true story, we become closer to each other. Every time someone searches for the truth, no matter where they are from the world, from any religion, we find the same thing. We're like becoming together. So every time you are closer to the truth, we're going to become closer to each other. So we need to find our true story, and that's only by releasing the old and negative stories. I'm very glad that I'm here listening to all these ideas, and of course it's opening up my mind to many things. It's gonna be a great week. That's I'm gonna just think and search for so many things.
Oh, that's the idea. That's the
so
idea.
Beautiful what you said. So beautiful. Yeah, it's the stories we tell ourselves, and the truth of ourselves and our lives that is being revealed right now.
Yes.
Because you can't find your truth when it's mucked up with all these stories about yourself that are not true because of the trauma or whatever. Yeah.
Well, and the programming and the TV, right? Like we can only develop our stories and really get in touch with them. Do you want to say a little bit about Merkaba activation and what Iman was picking up on maybe and the work you do and that others can do for, as we've been talking about, like preparing our systems, like that's a huge bit of what you do.
Yeah, that's true. So this School of Remembering that I facilitate workshops for Drunvalo Melchizedek's body of work is, it's a toolbox so that you have everything that you need in your toolbox to walk this path of ascension. And, it's a workshop to end all workshops, because really we have everything we need inside of ourselves. We don't need teachers, we don't need masters, we don't need books. We have it all, but sometimes we might need a little guidance to point us toward those tools that we already have within ourselves. And so this body of work is about connecting with your own higher self, learning to access the sacred space in your heart, that quantum field that connects to everyone, and to activate your light body, your Merkaba, your energetic field around you, learning how to create reality from your heart instead of your mind, and to live from this place so that you're living more in a unity consciousness place of grace, as opposed to the duality of the mind. And so that's a body of work that I've been teaching for over 10 years now. So I've been living and breathing this work. And so maybe there's just a resonance there that's sparking some remembering for you in that moment. But it's called Awakening the
Maybe.
Illuminated Heart is the body of work. And I do facilitate those online. So probably in this somewhere, there'll be a link to my website and you can look into that.
Yeah. Those are
Great.
4-day workshops of total activation. When Viola and I first met, we were here in Portland at a crystal activation. What was it?
An Atlantean crystal grid activation.
It was an Atlantean crystal grid. And we both had our galactic beacons on, and we were attracted to it, like, ooh, who are you? And then very shortly after she came down, I wanted to host a Drinvalo workshop down in Shasta. So that was a fun start. And you've been doing this for years. And they're amazing workshops, but it really is about that whole system activation, and that and I think that's what you're picking up on, Iman. That's wonderful. And then one thing on that, and then if anybody has more, and then Hope should be coming in soon. I'm excited to hear what Tak has to say. I hope that works out.
You want to talk about breatharianism?
Breatharianism, kind of a lot of what Drinvalo advocates for or teaches is some really esoteric stuff, like very, very mystery school, tapping into our what's not esoteric, but the lesser known information, right? And some of the practices. And one of them I've been thinking of as we've been talking about a solar flash or a solar flare is breatharianism and sun gazing, right? And how there have been practices for centuries, if not millennia. Yeah, I'm going to say millennia. There's a history that we aren't told of drawing prana, drawing energy from the sun, and having the capacity through our third eye to have everything we need nourished by light and prana, air, and probably sound too. So Viola is a sound healer, right? So getting back to this reality of light and frequency being who we are and everything that we need. And so I really like to, we're in the context, we're talking about the sun in this context of some massive destructive, event, but also this activating, pulse of these innate capacities that we have. I'm saying it again in a couple different ways. I know my firm belief is that this is going to allow us to get to those places where we can interact with light and sound in conscious ways that we used to. Like all of the other stuff, all of these stories, all of this 3D material reality, it could likely take a blow. Systems down. I'm a big advocate for survival preparedness. I'm just going to put that out there. But if if the 3D density is crumbling, then that light emerges, and we know inherently how to work with it. And so, we know how to work with the sun. There'll be an innate awakening. Oh, part of me is very excited.
Like Iman said, how the sun is like a wise teacher. I loved that analogy.
Yeah.
And so these energies that are coming from the sun are amazing and beautiful. Drinvalo says, if a solar flare is going to hit, because when a solar flare hits, that immediately changes some of the energies on the earth and in us, because we are all connected. And so sometimes when the solar flare hits, people get disoriented. It's like, solar flares must be hitting today. I can't quite finish the sentence. When you have your light body and your Merkaba activated, that doesn't affect you anymore. You can program it to move over to the new position of the field at a rate that won't disturb you. But nonetheless, you want those energies from the sun, even if they are disorienting or they change things. And he says, if a solar flare is going to hit, and you can find this out by signing up at like spaceweather.com or solarmonitor.org and get notifications. Get outside barefoot, arms outstretched to the sun, and receive it, because that's the good stuff right there.
Yeah.
So the sun is our ally in this, and is the wise teacher, and is going to lead the way home.
Yeah.
So if it brings sort of destruction to everything unnatural in this world, as Drinvalo will talk about, that different traditions talk about this, and like the Hopi have their kivas underground, because when a solar flare hits, if it's the big one, if it's this big shift that we keep talking about, the thing that could actually cause a dimensional shift, right? That anything that
yeah.
is unnatural will dissolve. And so they have their underground kivas with no windows or nothing unnatural whatsoever, so that they can ride it out. And if things that are unnatural do dissolve, it could look like a catastrophe is happening on the earth. But to just go into your heart and trust and just ride it out, because this is the sun leading the way. And I kind of feel like the sun is unmesswithable.
That was it.
Yeah,
That's the clean version.
you can't you can't mess with the sun. That's the real deal.
No, but I like that. Go outside, feet on the earth, which is what Elisabeth was talking about, and just soaking in what we know how to through our skin, and we do know how. And this, we haven't even talked about the dimensional shifts that are happening, but that's in the mix. But I don't want to get all excited. How about other thoughts? Anybody want to jump in? They've been sitting on something.
I'm just sitting on the fact that yesterday was one of the 4 great Earth holidays, which are all about the relationship of sun to earth, right? So happy equinox, everybody.
Yes.
And it happened to fall this time on the Pisces full moon, which is hugely emotional and may have zapped you.
Yep. Glad to be on the other side of that. Yeah, that was nice.
Hey, Nadi.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Alan.
Oh, no, I think Hope is going to show up. Just give her a few minutes, and let's just, when she comes, just tell her, sort of orientate her to what we've been talking about. And she's just finishing up an interview, and she's going to try to get here.
Awesome.
And she's going to try to tap into Tak, the being who actually witnessed a solar flare, experienced it. If you're open to channeling. One thing I want to say, speaking about channeling, that in 1981, Ramtha, as channeled through Jay-Z Knight, predicted 10 days of light, which would change the planet. And he didn't say when that would come, but there was a whole thing around the 10 days of light. I'll try to find that transcript for you. I think you might find it really interesting. So do you want to show? Oh, you want to show that Roland too, that you queued up?
The Allison Coe video.
Is that, or did you have other things you were going to do? Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're coming right up to when Hope might show up, and Zenka just popped in with something she was offering to say. So I thought we'd just sort of stay on screen, because it might change slow if we go to a video. Yeah. Right.
That's good. You're right.
But I will put the link. We'll put the link somewhere so that it's accessible, so that people can see it. It's a fascinating regression transcript. So yeah, no, thanks. I think we'll, Zenka, you messaged about something. You want to jump in?
Oh no, I was just, I was getting full body chills every time you're mentioning your training, Viola. So I don't know if it's like, oh, maybe I need to go to that.
Yeah.
Then I was also just like, I've been interested in Melchizedek in general as one of the architects of things, and wondered if you had any thoughts on, Drumbolo probably got his name from Melchizedek. And so just wondered if you had any thoughts to share on that, and what would Melchizedek think of the transition we're in right now?
Well, my understanding is that Drumbolo took on that name, was given that name because he became aware that he is from Melchizedek consciousness, which is beyond 12th dimensional consciousness. It's outside of our construct of these 12 dimensions with the 12 overtones in each dimension, and that the Melchizedeks have been coming to the planet for a long time to help uplift humanity. Christ and other beings. The Bible talks about Machavenda Melchizedek, but that there's a lot of beings here who come from the Melchizedek consciousness to help these humans do it. And a lot of people are embodying from other races as well to help the humans do it, because supposedly we are, a sort of an amalgam of lots of different races and well cared for and loved in the universe. So that's where Drumbolo got that connection from. And what would Drumbolo say about this time, or what would Melchizedek consciousness say about this time? Well, Drumbolo says that this time is that we are doing it, that we have done it and we are doing it, and that we've actually made it already. And these are the tools, and maybe not everyone goes, but that there's no catastrophe in this, that some beings go consciously with an activated Merkaba. And when you if the 3 days of darkness or the 10 days of light, as Alan was talking about, whatever it is that produces that shift in between dimensions where we raise to a next level, if that plays out in that way, that everyone goes to some capacity, but those who are fully conscious, activated, awake, aware, have an activated living Merkaba field, go consciously, retain your memories, and arrive at the next dimensional level, and is there to support others who maybe have not gone consciously and have to play some catch up. And there's different overtones of the fourth dimension, just like there's different overtones of the third, and people will go where they are a vibrational match to. And so even if everyone doesn't go and there's some big shift, everything is perfect, right? Everything is unfolding perfectly, and people will go naturally where they are meant to. And so some people are just, over excellers and want to do it super good and go all the way with it and go consciously. And so that training is available for the galactic superhero types who really want to do this all the way. And yet everyone will play this out, in the way that they're meant to, with their own dance through duality, as we are all here to do in our own ways.
Oh man, you're making me think of this whole concept of a code fork. Like, for anybody who uses like the metaphor that this could be a simulation school here that we're in, I often think like, well, we are on the precipice of tanking this entire school into the ground. Like, when we're dropping, because the way it probably works is that every action has a reaction. So if you drop a nuclear bomb on it, then that will have to play itself out. If you get everyone sucked onto a TV screen and you tank their entire consciousness into fear, you have tanked the entire school. So I often think like they got to a point where like, wow, we got to fork the code, and we've got to separate, like we've got to pull the people that are not going to be living in fear or whatever it is, right? And we're going to separate it into two things so that we can continue to have two games, going to schools going. And again, I mean, that's just an interesting, overlay to think about, in terms of like metaphors and things like that. But if we are in some sort of a holographic thing, it would make sense that we want to get as many people as possible into this new world, which is going to be super fun. We're going to be sharing things. We're going to be healing each other more quickly. We're going to be treating children amazing when they arrive. Like, this is going to be awesome. And whatever split, if there is going to be a split, hasn't happened yet. So let's help each other take off our backpacks, heal ourselves, deal with the trauma, because we don't know. I mean, when you meet someone on the street, you don't know how many lives they've lived. You don't know if you've done it more times than them. So like, now's the time to really help each other do this, right? And let's get on the side of this game that we want to be.
Yep.
Nice.
Good
pep talk for the team.
I know. Go team. We got a real uplift going on here.
It's time. It's the time. We got to lend a hand everywhere.
Yeah.